So we're in the middle of our abundance month. This full title is actually the biggest dinner I can imagine, but it was just a little bit much to put on the screen and on your handout. The biggest container I can imagine. You know, part of my dilemma every single week, and especially when I'm in a program like this, I have so much I want to say that I could keep you here for 3 hours, but I wouldn't do that. So it's like, how, you know, taking each week and what's the most important things to say, what's the most important things to say. That gets challenging because I want to say all of it. Stick around long enough, you'll hear all of it eventually. So here's what I have said so far. Week 1 was, it's always there. Simply reminding us over and over and over, there's only one source. We call it God. That one source isn't a man out there that we have to ask for goodies. The one source is the energy of all life, given freely, everywhere, all the time. It's always there. That was the main point. Last week was believe to receive. Reminding us that this one source is just waiting and willing to provide, but we are the ones who need to call it forth. Because what Pat may call forth, and what Anna may call forth, and what Richard may call forth, may be all completely different. So we don't believe in a God that says you have to have this, and you have to have the same thing, and you have to have the same thing. We believe in a source that says each can have it according to their own belief. And so we're all going to want different aspects of that. We're all going to want different types of relationships. We're all going to want different career paths or different retirement paths. We're all going to be comfortable with different sizes of bank accounts. One person's $1 million, maybe somebody else's 1,000. You know, it's beautiful that we have the freedom to have it how we will. And so believing to receive is what I talked about last week. And I used 3 of Jesus' teachings, which really work together beautifully for this. One of them is, it's done unto you as you believe. You hear that one like pretty much every week. It's done unto you as you believe, until we really begin to embody that. Another one that he taught was, as you measure, it shall be measured back to you. As you're putting it out, it's going to be coming back to you. And the third one is that he says, when you pray, believe, you receive. That's huge. Believe you receive. Don't think, oh, maybe God will do this for me. When you pray, believe you receive. Know that as you're putting it out, it's coming back, and dare to believe that it's true. Very powerful teachings. I also said that we need to lift ourselves above appearances. We need to lift ourselves above the effects of the world that can weigh us down and that make us think that life is terrible because we look around and sometimes things don't look so beautiful. But we can't solve any problems at that same level of consciousness. We must rise above and dare to say, I'm going to believe something more for myself, for my family, for my world, regardless of what I see. That becomes challenging. I get it. And I told a personal story. I'm not going to go into it again, but it's how I personally sometimes forget as well. I have moments of going, oh my gosh, ain't it awful? Oh my God, this is so terrible. I have those moments too. But having practiced this now for a long time, I get back to my truth quickly. And that's all that's really required. When we lose it and we go, I forgot, I totally had a meltdown, we go, oh, wait a minute. Let me recenter myself in that truth. That's really what we're asking ourselves to do over and over and over. Recenter, reach for something bigger, and remember the one source. And last week's Ernest Holmes quote was this. Remember, God is the silent power behind all things, always ready to pour into our experience that which we need. We must have a receptive and positive faith. There's the 2 key words, receptive and positive faith, in the evidence of things not seen with the physical eye, but which are eternal in the spirit. All is mind, just another name for God, and we must provide a receptive avenue for it. Believe to receive. Now each week just sort of dovetails and expands. So today is about expanding our ability to believe, expanding our ability to imagine, to receive, to give. We're going to use practices and tools today. So we're just expanding it out a little bit further. If you as a child were told, quit with your imaginary little daydreaming stuff, it's time to regain it. okay? Because that's the starting point. If we can't have some imaginings going on in our mind, we're not going to be moving towards that higher thing. A lot of little kids go, oh, that's just your imagination. Let your little kids have it and bring your little kid out now. Let your imagination run wild. And don't let anybody tell you that's not reality. It could be. It could be. Right? Did you hear that? That's not reality. Yeah. Okay, but it is what you say it is. Right? So stay in that place of imagining. Even if something seems so far out that it might never happen, it certainly is fun to imagine it. And maybe you'll get somewhere toward it. You know that saying that says, if you shoot for the stars and miss, at least you're aiming in that right direction. Right? So let your imagination come out. That's what we're doing today. So I've been talking about being able to receive love and inner peace and money and abundance and resources of all kinds. Let me just give a really simple example. It's raining, and I want to collect rainwater. All right, so let's see here. What do I got? If I want to collect rainwater, and I put out this container, or if I put out this container, I don't need to even ask you the question. If you can look at everything in life with these two things in your mind, this is what we're talking about. If I want to catch all of God's good, what kind of container, what size of a container am I putting out?
Bigger than that.
Well, yeah. Bigger than that is right. But you can imagine it with rain really easy, can't you? All right? So this is the concept when we say visualize our container. It's really our mental container. It's our consciousness of. Our consciousness is our container, but it helps us see it in visual form. You see, I have all kinds of different sizes and shapes of containers around me today. So keep the two containers in your mind when you forget. Oh yeah, can I think bigger? Can I even think bigger than that? Just, we didn't want to take up all the space up here. All right, now let me go with Ernest Holmes again, because this one dovetails with the last one I just read. He says, I have this on PowerPoint, so let's pull this up. The universal mind, which is God, contains all knowledge. It is the potential ultimate of all things. To it, all things are possible. To us, as much is possible as we can conceive, according to law. Should all the wisdom of the universe be poured over us, we should yet only receive that which we are ready to understand. That's the crux of the whole program. That's what we're saying over and over and over and over again. To it, all things are possible. Should everything be poured over us, imagine that shower coming over you, and yet we will only be able to receive that which we are willing to understand, that which we are willing or able to grasp. And so our job in that is to expand our ability to conceive, to receive, to understand. That's our piece of the work. There's no God withholding. And I said that to us last week. Stop limiting God. Stop limiting the potentiality. And let me tell you, I use that for myself in some way, shape, or form every day to remind me, don't limit the source. Don't limit this power that I have at my disposal. And that's what we do because of that. Like, you pay attention to reality. That's not real because of that. We want to expand. That's where our work is. That's where our job is. And I said we're going to talk about practices and tools today. So this whole thing, what we're talking about really now is the law of circulation. Our practice is to keep it circulating. So we're expanding, but then we've got to put it into some kind of action. Because our mental consciousness is really, really good, but we've got to use it. We've got to get it going. So giving and receiving is what we're talking about, the law of circulation. I can't give if I don't have something. So I like to be generous. I love to share. Much more effective am I going to be at sharing with you if I let myself receive it first? When people say, oh no, I don't need much, I don't want much, it's like, all right, maybe you don't, but wouldn't it really be fun to say, here, let me give you some? I like that. It feels so good to share. And what I know is if I have more to share from, oh my gosh, it's so much more fun and it's so much easier. So imagine my this